Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday morning medical Qigong practice. My name is Mary Francis. I'm one of Henry Jun Wali's medical Qigong students. It's great to see everybody this morning. I hope you all are doing well. We're going to be working on the Basic 8 series today, the first 5 exercises. So let's go ahead and start out. We're working with your traditional warm-up to the Basic 8, which is that circular breathing. We're standing with the feet hip width, shoulder width apart. So we're in a nice, stable, relaxed stance. Letting the feet melt into the earth. Softening the knees. Relaxing the low back. Relaxing the shoulders. And then allowing just a bit of space to come underneath the armpit area so that the arms can float away from the torso, giving the chi some space to move and circulate. The tip of the tongue is going to touch the roof of the mouth, helping with the communication between the Ren channel and the Du channel. And the very top of the head is reaching up into the sky. Breathing in and out through the nose. Letting the eyes close. Maintaining that internal awareness, the mind's eye. We're inhaling down to the lower dantian. That space 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button. Exhaling down to the perineum. Inhaling up to the big spine point. And exhaling to the palms. Inhaling to the lower dantian. Allowing it to fill up with energy. Exhaling, guiding the breath and the chi down to the perineum. Circulating up through the spine, inhaling up to the big spine point, at the base of the neck where the cervical and thoracic spine meet. And then exhaling to the palms of the hands. Inhaling, lower dantian. Exhaling, perineum. Inhaling, big spine point. Exhaling to the palms of the hands. Inhaling, lower dantian. Exhaling, perineum. Inhaling, big spine point. And then exhaling to the palms. Continuing on with this circular route of breathing at your own pace. Allowing the breath to enter and leave the body fully and freely. Allowing the chi to circulate through this route. Bringing the chi to all the organ systems, connecting the front of the body and the back of the body. allowing the mind to sink into the breath, relaxing into this exercise. Allowing the body to relax into the stance, relaxing into the pose. And about 2 more rotations of the circular breathing. When you're ready, gently opening the eyes, letting the arms come back down to the sides and closing, bringing that left foot back to the right. With that same mind space, we're opening up for our lung and large intestine exercise of the basic 8. Rotating the shoulders forward, backs of the hands coming together. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling, allowing the backs of the hands to drag up the back of the body. Exhaling. In and out. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. Releasing. Continuing on at your own pace, allowing the rate of your breath to guide the speed of the movement. Slowing it down or speeding up the movement as much as you need. closing. For the spleen stomach exercise, I'm going to do the modification with the extra breath first. Starting with the feet together, inhaling. Exhaling fully. Inhaling. And exhale. For the modification, we're taking that extra inhale. Full exhalation. Switching the hands. I forgot to tell you to breathe. Inhaling. Exhaling. Switching. We're inhaling as we open up for the archer. Exhaling as we come back to center. Inhaling. Exhaling fully. Switching the hands. Inhaling. And exhaling. I'm now going to go back to the traditional way without that extra breath. You do what works for you. Inhaling. And exhaling. About one more time on each side. And closing. Our heart, small intestine to exercise. Gathering our claws in front of the lower dantian. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. And out. About 2 more. Releasing claws and closing. Our kidney urinary bladder exercise. Positioning the hands and arms. Inhaling as we drag the pinky side of the hand up. Exhaling. Inhaling. Allowing the breath to pause. And then exhaling. Going at your own pace. About 2 more. And releasing. Closing. Our last exercise for today, the 5th exercise, the Sanjiao and pericardium exercise, keeping the feet together. Inhaling as we guide the palms up to underneath the shoulders. Exhaling fully. Inhaling. And exhaling. In. And out. Allowing yourself to really enjoy every little moment of the exercise. And about one more on each side. Closing. Keeping the feet together so that we can retain all that wonderful energy that we've been cultivating over the past 25 minutes, transferring some of that energy into the palms. Washing the face 9 times. Wiping the brow and beneath the eye also 9 times. Wiping up and down the entirety of the nose 9 times. And then circles lower, middle, upper aspect, inward and outward 9 times each. Just underneath the pupil at the cheekbone, there's a little divot, inward and outward 9 times. And then dredging the channels of the scalp, utilizing all the fingers, all the fingertips 9 times. Beating the drum. And grasping the ears. Once again, making sure to utilize all the fingertips. Switch. Popping the cork. And then uniting the Ren and the Du channel, inward and outward 9 times. And then massaging the jaw, trying to keep the musculature of the jaw relaxed as you move the head from side to side. And then once you've done 9 times, our number changes to 12 times total or 6 times each side, brushing down the throat. And then down the breastbone. Placing the palms at the lower dantian, circling up the right and down the left 9 times. Gathering our wonderful energy into the abdomen. Then once you've done 9 circles going in the opposite direction, concentrating that energy. For 9 times. Resting the palm at the lower dantian, closing the eyes. Inhaling, guiding the breath in the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up with energy. Exhaling, allowing that energy to settle and store so that it may be used throughout the rest of your day. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. Letting the mind relax into the breath. Allowing the breath to relax the body. and allowing the chi to settle and store so that it may be utilized throughout the rest of your day. Thank you so very, very much, everyone. Henry, we are ready for our Chi Chat.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Mary Frances. That was an awesome practice. A great way to start my day, especially when it's kind of gloomy outside. So this gets things going. So we've been talking about 5 elements and different associations, different types of relationships to give you a better understanding of kind of comparison contrast between the different elements. So yesterday we talked about architecture. So hopefully, try to notice that in your day, notice different kinds of architecture, different kinds of houses and buildings, and see perhaps what elements those are. Maybe even like an aspect, like a different shape or a design, a roof that's different, and think about what those things mean. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about people, our faces, because we all also embrace and reflect those different 5 elements within us, and they show up on the face. So I'm going to pull up some photos so we get some visual aids to help us. And these are courtesy of Patricia McCarthy and her book, The Face Reader. And I do recommend checking out that book. So these are just photos directly from the book for reference. All right, so let me just give me a moment here to set that up. All right, hopefully you can see that. Okay, so we're looking at different kinds of faces. And so, and this is just kind of the 30,000 foot level bigger picture stuff. And we can see different kinds of faces. I'm going to just scroll through and just give you a overview first. So, okay, so different kinds of faces. And you can see the energy is different, but why are they different, right? So, all right. Okay, so actually let us go ahead and we'll start with her face first. Okay, so it's quite distinctive. The first thing that jumps out at me with her face is really that set of the jaw. Like she has this very strong, like clench, it looks like, in her jaw. And these are actually a very distinct feature of the wood element. Okay, but if you look at the bigger picture, okay, her face looks like it's very long, right? And I'm going to just trace here, and you can see this more of a rectangular shape where it's longer than it is wide. This again tends to be more of a, what we say, a quintessential wood face. And just think about like a tree, right? A tree is more tall than it is wide, usually. So that's the energy. So there's a few things with this. So her face is rectangular, taller, and the set of that jaw here, very strong energy right in there. So these are things that really make this look like a more of a quintessential wood type of face. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so this face looks very different, right? Okay, so shape of the face, it's not as that rectangular shape that we saw earlier. You can see it's a little bit more round shape. Okay, so the round shaped face or oval shaped face tends to be more of a distinct feature of fire. Okay, so let's look at some more reasons why this particular face is a very good example of fire. We can see fire we distinguish with a lot of peaks, a lot of little things. And you can see that in the ears, okay? It's not quite exactly Spock ears, but you can see that they're not as like soft and rounded. Okay, and we can see that later on in other ears. Actually, why don't we go back, right? Ooh, the swiping thing doesn't work. Oh, she doesn't have ears. Okay. All right. We'll point that out later in the other photos. But okay, so distinction of fire is you have little peaks everywhere. And you can see in his smile too, it tends to go up like this. Okay, so there's like energy there. There's energy here. And even in eyebrows, you can see that it is these little peaks. And his eyebrows are fire, but also wood. Okay, but like his eyebrows tend to be more bushy and thick, and that tends to be an element of wood. But that concentration leads more to fire as well, because remember, wood generates fire. So a lot of wood gathering together, you start to have these very fiery type of features. So again, like the oval face, you can see the ears, peaks, like fire here in the eyebrows, very much so. You can see the kind of the sparkle in the eyes. Sorry, I'm not trying to mess up your face and drawing silly things on your face. Just marking up so you guys can see what I'm seeing in terms of what makes this face fire. All right, so let's take a look, continue on. All right, so this face, in contrast to, let's go back to this wood face, right? A wood face longer than wide, oval. Okay, earth face. You can see this face is wider, right? So earth face is more distinguished by, my tracing is not that great. But you can see a lot of energy in that cheek, jaw area, a lot of fleshy areas. So the earth face tends to be more square than rectangular, okay? So we can see like the energy kind of goes out more wide than the narrower wood face. But earth is also distinguished by very fleshy features. So you can see his chin is quite fleshy, around here in the cheeks and the jaw, quite fleshy. The nose is also quite fleshy here. Even like up here, you can see there's in the forehead area, you can see it's a little bit more fleshy. And the lips tend to be fuller, and so the lips are the earth area as well. But it's distinguished by features that tend to be very fleshy. And again, let's go back and contrast that. Okay, you can't, like on his face, you can see it's a little full, but it's not fleshy. And also in her face, you can see it's also not, you don't see as much of those fleshy features, right? Hopefully you can distinguish. I know it's just photos here. Okay, and also you can see he has these fleshy earlobes that are also very earth. Okay, let's move on. All right, so this is a metal face. And metal faces, we tend to look at angular type features. We tend to look at high cheekbones, which she definitely has here. Okay, she has these high cheekbones, and that's very metal type of face. Very angular type features here. So you can look at more of like a diamond shaped face with someone who has a lot of metal. Metal people, in contrast to the earth, doesn't have as much of those fleshy features. They tend to be more bony. The skin tends to look more thin. Okay, and you see her ears here tend to be a little bit small, but also it tends to be more distinct. It's not as fleshy, and it's also doesn't have that. It's more rounded than it does have that peak. It doesn't have that peak like in the fire face that we saw earlier. Okay, so also like tend to have a little bit higher eyebrows. Okay, so metal people tend to have more the high eyebrows. It gives it more of that aloofness to their face, and we see that in that area. Okay, all right, so let's move on. Okay, and so we tend to have, okay, so water is a little bit hard, okay? because there's a mystery. There's a little bit of mysteriousness to the face. But okay, here we see like the features are more full than they are fleshy. Okay, so fleshy is like you can sort of like pinch it and like you get a good amount of like flesh in those areas. Okay, so you don't really see that in her face as much, but you see that certain areas look full, like her jaw looks full. Okay, her cheeks look full. Okay, so she doesn't, in contrast to the metal. Okay, you can't, her jaw, I mean her her cheekbone is not as distinguished. Okay, she does have more of a smaller nose. It's not as fleshy as the earth nose. All right, so we tend to look at this as more of a water type features, and classically it's more of a octagonal shape face. Not that you're not going to see anyone exactly with an octagon of a face, but when you deduce it, I know my art is really amazing here with these lines. But yeah, we tend to look more for a slight fullness in these features, and that tends to be more water. Earth is more of a that excess, more fleshy type of look. But there's a lot of energy here in the jaw area. All right. And that represents, when we break down these facial features, that energy in that jaw is not as much the set. The set is more a wood feature, okay, all the way in the back, but more of that really strong chin and jaw area, okay, that's more water, and that's more of that determination. That's a characteristic of water, okay, and that contrasts with she doesn't have as much of a fleshy chin. The chin area tends to be more of an earth area, okay? And she doesn't also have the more of the full or fleshy lip area as much as the earth person does, okay? So these just gives you a little bit of a contrast of the different types of faces. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of how to distinguish these different faces. I like to delve more into different parts of the face in the future, but we kind of want to start with the 30,000 foot level. So we talked about, you know, body energy was that earlier this week? Yeah, I think it was earlier this week, right? It was last week. But anyway, you can reference that in our YouTube videos, body energy and how they relate to the 5 elements. But now we see the facial energy, and you can sort of look at the overall shape of the face and features, and it gives you a little bit of a clue as to like, oh, okay, what element is that? Okay, so thank you for joining us today. Hope you find that useful, and we'll see you tomorrow.